Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, we're diving into a spot that's it's way more than just a pit stop on the way to, a certain massive waterfall.
Hmm.
It's Livingstone, Zambia. And we're not just talking like the falls in the background, we're talking the town itself.
Right, right. Livingstone has this whole personality.
Oh, I love that. So, picture this, okay. We've got colonial architecture.
Beautiful.
We've got the rumble of Victoria Falls kind of in the distance, those markets, that energy.
Yeah, and it's that energy that's, I think, really important because it's a town, right? It's not just like you said, a pit stop on the way to Victoria Falls. It has this whole history, even before colonialism, as this kind of crossroads.
Ooh, see, I love that you said that. Okay, but before we get too deep into the history, which I want to do, for someone picturing like the logistics, right? How do you even arrive in Livingstone?
So Livingstone, it actually has its own international airport.
No way.
Yeah.
You just pictured like a trek?
Nope. You can fly direct from like Johannesburg on South African Airways. So
Okay, that's already way easier than I thought. Now, once I'm there, are we talking walkable city? Because I do love to wander and just soak it all in.
it is. Livingstone's very walkable, especially if you want to like feel the vibe, check out the town. Although to get to Victoria Falls itself, it is about 10 kilometers out.
I got it.
So taxis and minibuses, they're your best bet for that.
And I bet you've got a pro tip for us about those taxis.
Oh, always. Always negotiate the fare up front. Trust me.
Noted. Although if I'm feeling very adventurous, I did read something about bike rentals.
Oh, yeah. It's safe enough, peaceful enough for that,
Yeah.
which, again, adds to the charm. Now, while you're picturing yourself cycling around, where are you staying? Did you see any places that,
Okay, so I admit I always need to peek at the luxury options and the River Club right on the Zambezi River. Sign me up. Especially because their whole thing is like doing nothing is an activity.
That's the River Club. Yeah, it's Edwardian style, eco-luxury, the whole thing. But, on the pricier side for sure.
Right.
If you want that splurge with a view, you've got the Royal Livingstone Hotel. You can actually see the mists of Victoria Falls from the property.
Okay, stop it. Now, that's tempting. But, for those of us on a slightly tighter budget, I also saw the Protea Hotel mentioned. Always a solid, reliable option.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Those chain hotels, always consistent.
Yeah.
But speaking of consistency, have you thought about food? Because Livingston has a surprisingly diverse culinary scene, actually.
Yeah, don't even get me started. Okay, Italian at Olga's. Sign me up. But Cafe Zambezi, that's where things get interesting. Crocodile is on the menu.
It is. And actually, Caribbean goat curry jollof rice.
Wow, what?
It's a very lively spot, though, I will say that.
Oh, really?
You might have to push your way through a bit, but it's worth it. And then if you are a curry fan, a serious one,
Okay.
Golden Leaf.
Yeah.
Best Indian curries, they say, on the continent.
Bold statement. Okay, now I want curry and ED crocodile, which is not a combination I've ever craved before. But Livingston, it can't just be about, relaxing and eating. What happens when the sun sets?
It definitely has I would say, more laid-back vibe. If you're looking for, super intense nightlife, that might not be the spot. But it doesn't mean it's boring.
Right. I did see Fez Bar caught my eye. Mexican food, there's a pool, games. Apparently even crocodile burgers make a comeback there, so.
They do love their crocodile.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good starting point. If you're looking for something maybe a little more, how do I say this, upscale in terms of ambiance,
Fancy.
Rhapsody's Cafe and Wine Bar, it's got that nice sophisticated vibe. But if you want that real Livingstone After Dark experience, Chesentemba, that's the place for dancing.
Oh, fun.
Part of that international nightclub chain, so it's going to be lively.
I love that.
And then to either end the night or start your morning, depending on how late you're going, the deck of the Royal Livingstone Hotel. Best spot to catch the sunrise over the Zambezi.
Oh, wow, I bet. Okay, that view. But, Livingstone's beauty, it's more than just views and good food. There's that historical depth we touched on, and I am very curious to hear more about the Livingstone Museum.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
The Livingstone Museum is where you really get to dive into the story of, the namesake himself, Dr. David Livingstone.
Right.
Artifacts from his expeditions, photographs. They even have, his compass, his journal. Can you imagine?
That's amazing. I always love when museums have those, really tangible objects.
It makes it real.
Yes.
Connects you to that time.
Totally. And speaking of connections, I read about the Railway Museum, which I have to say, in a town known for nature and exploration, kind of unexpected.
Right. You don't expect a train museum. But it's fascinating. Gives you this whole other angle on Zambia's colonial history through these like vintage locomotives, coaches, the whole thing.
Oh, I love those little unexpected finds when you're traveling. And to tie it all together, I saw they have walking tours that take you through all the colonial architecture, so you're really connecting those buildings to the history.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot packed into Livingstone.
There is. But before we get too carried away, let's talk practicalities for a sec, because, shopping and money, very important when you're traveling. So What's the deal?
So good news, you'll find international banks there in Livingstone. But it never hurts to carry U.S. dollars, just in case, as backup.
Always good advice. Now, for those souvenirs, I have to imagine there's a market scene.
Oh, yeah. The Curio and Craft Market in Mukuni Park, that's where you want to go.
Yeah.
Local crafts, everything. Just, be ready to haggle a little.
Right. Got it.
If that's not your style, you want something a little calmer, African gifts and African visions, those are good options.
Noted. Okay, now, we can't talk about Livingstone without addressing the elephant, or should I say the waterfall, in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Victoria Falls?
It's unavoidable.
Right. Or Moziotunya, the smoke that thunders. Come on. That name, epic. And the activities. Whitewater rafting, bungee jumping, abseiling, flights over the falls. We could do a whole deep dive on just that.
Okay. Before I spiral into full-on adventure mode here, there's got to be a calmer side to Victoria Falls.
You'd be surprised. Honestly, it's not all, adrenaline and chaos.
Okay, good, because the smoke that thunders sounds pretty intense. It's powerful, for sure. But imagine this, bird watching along the Zambezi River.
Okay, I can see that.
Super peaceful, so many unique birds to spot. Or even just, casting a line. Doing some fishing.
See, that's what I love. You can have a totally different experience depending on your, vibe.
Exactly. There's something for everyone.
Speaking of different, the Gwembe Reptile Park, that caught my eye. I'm not saying reptiles are for everyone, but...
It's definitely unique. If you want up close and personal with some incredible animals, though, picture a rhino walking safari.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you're on foot. These massive creatures just meters away.
That's
incredible. Or, for that classic Zambezi experience, got to do a sunset cruise, right?
Yeah.
As the sky, it explodes with color.
Okay, that cruise is officially going on my bucket list. I have to admit, though, when I saw national parks nearby in the research, different kind of bucket list item, but still.
Oh, yeah. We could do a whole other deep dive on just the national parks around Livingstone.
Right.
Another time, maybe.
Seriously. But speaking of diverse experiences, we touched on it earlier, but Livingstone's cultural side... that's just as fascinating as the landscape itself, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And it goes way back. We're talking centuries before Dr. Livingstone even arrived, before colonialism.
It's kind of mind-blowing to think about, right? Before it was Livingstone, it was this whole other crossroads.
Exactly, yeah. People from what we now know as Zimbabwe, Congo, South Africa, all converging in this one area.
Yeah.
And you can still feel that blend of cultures today.
You can feel it in the energy of the town, I bet.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then late 19th century, that's when Cecil Rhodes and the British South Africa Company, that's when things really shifted.
That's when colonialism really took hold, right?
Yeah, their whole focus was exploiting resources.
Yeah.
The Zambezi River became this super important trade route.
And that's when industrialization started changing the whole social fabric of the region.
Exactly.
You know what image I keep picturing? That one from the Livingstone Museum, showing the town right after Dr. Livingstone got there.
Oh, yeah. Powerful, right?
It's like this little snapshot. You really get a sense of that era.
It really brings it to life. And yet, here's what I find so interesting. Even with those massive changes, cultural, economic, the whole thing, many people in Livingstone, they held on to their traditions, their values.
It's like this whole other layer of history.
It's there beneath the surface if you know where to look.
I love that. And it's a good reminder, right? Traveling, it's not just about ticking off the big attractions. It's about engaging with the nuances, the layers, like you said.
100%.
Which, speaking of engaging thoughtfully, we should probably touch on safety, because as excited as we are about Livingstone, got to keep it real.
Right. Always important. It's generally considered a safe destination, but anywhere. Got to be aware. For example, seems like they have their fair share of con artists, especially around booking tours and stuff.
That makes sense.
Got to be savvy.
So research is key. Choosing reputable operators, reading those reviews.
Exactly.
And that whole thing, if a deal seems too good to be true...
Probably is.
Probably is. Okay, good to know. Beyond that, though, any areas, specific situations where we want to be extra cautious.
So walking from town out to Victoria Falls after dark, not recommended.
Okay, good to know.
There have been, reports of muggings. And also, remember, this is Africa. We're talking wild animals. It's not just about,
Right. Not the wildlife encounter I'm looking for.
Exactly. Anything else? Oh, malaria.
Ah, yes, of course.
Big one. Talk to your doctor about antimalarials well in advance. And bug spray, obviously. Can't forget that.
Essential.
Even if you're in, like, a really nice hotel, mosquito net, not a bad idea.
Better safe than sorry. Right. Good reminders.
Always good to be prepared.
This has been amazing. I feel like we've gone from those bustling markets to, like, the edge of Victoria Falls and then even deeper,
Right. And we didn't even have time for everything.
Oh, I know. There's always more to discover.
Yeah.
Which actually, that brings me to my final thought. We talked about Livingstone being this crossroads, right? Indigenous traditions meeting those colonial influences.
Yeah.
So as you're picturing yourself there, planning that trip, think about this. How has that blend, that mix, how has it shaped the town we see today? The heart of Livingstone.
It's a good question.
It's something to ponder as you wander those streets, taking it all in. And hey, maybe you'll find some answers we missed.